family and friends, UNC family and friends. And while Gary boasted he could open his shirt, blue shirt, and show yellow, well, Gary, I did better. I wear yellow and blue to speak with you here tonight. So, I thank all the previous speakers who joined us. And Gary spoke about so much that we did when Gary was our special advisor on crime, national security. And then he was with us as Minister of National Security. And whilst Gary was saying, Kamla Prasad Bisesa did this and did that, I did all of that with the help of Captain Gary Griffith. When it came to national security. And of course, we had a good team working in the partnership. So I endorse every word that Captain Griffith has said here tonight about the benefits of coming together to unite as one great force to remove the PNM off the face of the map. We must remove them. And Gary has explained that every time we came together, we were able to move them off the map. I also acknowledge here Gavin Nicholas, who worked with us in that cabinet as well, and thank him for his service. Very happy to see he's joined the team with all of us. And of course, my own UNC members who are here. I think MP Saddam explained to you, they're trying to hold us back in Parliament, but they could never stop me from coming to meet with you and seeing you here tonight. Now, there's a very interesting development. Gary's talked about today is Farley, tomorrow. First, yesterday was Gary, today is Farley, and tomorrow could be any one of you. And so, in the THA meeting today, the Chief Secretary Farley made some very, very, very serious allegations against Prime Minister Rowley, against the Commissioner of Police. Tonight I call upon them to tell us, are these allegations true? The Chief Secretary said, he alleged, a deeply disturbing conspiracy, a scheme between the Prime Minister, the Commissioner of Police, and other high-ranking officials. And there's a whistleblower who is coming forward and saying that he met with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister was talking to the Commissioner of Police, not this one. This was the greatest Commissioner of Police we ever had in Gary Griffith. Not this one, not this one. And they were engaged in a conspiracy. I have shared with you before how the PNM is attempting to buy votes, how the PNM is bribing people. I showed the check. Bribing people to jump ship and come into their camp. And we said goodbye. We want no Judases in this camp. We stand strong to remove the PNM together. And now, this whistleblower, Farley showed all the tapes in the THA today. The whistleblower is alleging that he has been paid and been promised $275,000 to swear an affidavit to implicate Farley and others in the THA. That is where the PNM has reached to conspiracies. So when Gary tells us tonight how they attempted to strong-arm and browbeat police officers to do their political bidding, they continue to do that with Farley. So yesterday was Gary, today's Farley, tomorrow is any one of you. Any one of you. Don't say you were not warned. They will use anything they can against whom they see as political opponents. And that's what they did. For months I've been warning and warning that the hierarchy of the police service, some of them, is in collusion with the PNM to persecute political opponents. I told you, and I will continue to say it, this government is a clear and present danger to democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. And so, a vote for this government is a vote for a body of people who believe, Gary explained it well, in dictatorship. This is a dictator government pressing down. They have their knee on your throat, and they will come for any one of you. And so we must vote. We must vote on the 14th. We must vote for the NTA candidates. We must vote for the UNC candidates and move them off the map. We must vote against having our children grow up in a police state where they have no rights and no freedoms. We must vote against this dictatorship, handpicked police mongoose gang disguised as a veteran unit. Gary explained to us we have veteran units already in the service. He set up others to deal with crime, but this man has no idea. I say, those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make them mad. Make them mad. It's a madman at the helm of this country. And if we don't understand that today, then it's scrap out, smoke your pipe. We have to understand it well. When it is, a prime minister could stand up, baps, he wake up. He wake up, he say, listen, we're going to have police units vetted. Who is going to vet these people? And who will vet the vetted persons? And he's handpicking these people to do his bidding. As Farley is telling us, as Gary told us, he's handpicking, wants to handpick specially chosen persons to go in this team. You know, again, the work of a dictator. Right now, they're forcing the special branch to spy, some of them to spy on their opponents. The office of the special branch are so fed up. They're complaining, do not want to be involved in the dictator's schemes. The police service is now split into factions under this commissioner of police, where you have police officers going personally to the diplomatic center to meet this man one-on-one. Where do you ever hear that? Dari told you, only in dictatorships you have the prime minister interacting one-on-one with senior police officers, asking them to do his bidding. And look, that big meeting Sunday at the Dip Center was nothing but a gimmick, a stunt. Nothing but a stunt to get the police to help this dictator counteract all that people are speaking about. Was not to fight crime. According to senior officers who was present in the meeting, hear me up, you know, they can't tell you what happened in that meeting. But in Trinidad, nothing remains a secret for long. And so a senior officer at that meeting has said, it was a senseless meeting. Everyone left really baffled because no one offered a strategy. No leadership, no ideas, no nothing. And there we were, all these heads of divisions. Did you see or hear anything different after the meeting? He asks. There were no increased police patrols by Sunday, Monday, and even up to today. He said, this officer, the police are doing what they can do with what they have. And that is the truth. We do not even have the basic tools we want. One of the things we brought up at the meeting was the issue of the CCTV cameras. Cameras have been in place since 2009, when an Israeli firm was hired to put the system in place for the 5th Summit of the Americas. Half of those cameras, he says, are not working now. It must bring out the resources, including the army, for high visibility, not just in hotspots, but on the highways and other getaway routes to tame the criminal upsurge. Gary, you remember that's what we did? We brought joint patrols of the Army and the TTPS. And we took it to Parliament, remember, Gary? And what they said, they called it the soldier bill. It was to bring all our security forces together. There are thousands of Army personnel, thousands of police personnel, and therefore we could deploy them in this fight against crime. That senior officer said, give guns to SRPs, bring them out also. Either that or we level the playing field and give guns to law-abiding citizens. give guns to law-abiding citizens, which is what Gary did as Commissioner of Police, which he started to do. Gun for gun. I want you to imagine and think about this. You are in your home. Your home is your castle. And you are there with your family, your children, your wife. And you see a home invader coming into your home. What do you do? What do you say? Whom will you call? The Ghostbusters? You have no time because when you call them, they can't even reach. What do you do? And if you have a legal gun, what do you do? Rowley is telling us we are plotting one against the other, putting one against the other. What do you do? Your wife is about to be raped, your daughter to be raped. What do you do? And if you have a legal gun, then you know what to do. You stand your ground in your home. Stand your ground. What Rowley wants us to do? To say, Mr. Bandit, sir, hold on. Wait up. Just wait. Take off your mask and let me see if you're looking like me, or you're looking like Anil, or you're looking like Garvin, or you're looking like Gary. Who are you looking at? Who do you look at as? And then I'll decide if to use that gun. Absolute ludicrous nonsense. The home invasions happen regardless of you're red, whether you're white, whether you're blue, you're green, you're black. It's every one of us. Every single one. So they rape and they rob and they kill him. The man who will shoot to defend his family will get bail just like others get. So police stations, the officer says, are not equipped. If you think it happens only in some areas, recently it's happening everywhere. Even at the St. Clair station, they're telling us they're not well resourced. So these are the words of a senior officer. Not Kamala, not Gary. This is what is happening in our country today as we are under siege by the criminals. I want to talk a little about the law they were trying to change in Parliament today. And I will not give you too much legalese, but I think it's important to understand what happened in the Parliament today. They're coming to totally, they brought a bill to remove all the checks and balances, to allow Imbert and Rowley to write blank checks so they can give contracts to their friends and their financiers and their family. That is what they were doing today, and you'll read more about it. I told them today, that bill is not worth the paper that is written on. Nothing is worth the paper. Because what they're doing in effect, they're killing the procurement. Well, they killed it already. They came today to carry out the final rites, to bury, put the last nail in the coffin, to bury any semblance of democratic transparency in the procurement of goods and services. As I move along, I want to share with you, the PNM is on platform crying all over the country about their fake local government reform. They have nothing to tell you that they have achieved in 8 years. After spending several $100 billion, nothing. Not an achievement. Crime, all-time high. Road infrastructure gone through. Health sector gone through. Education sector gone through. And as I talk about education, Rowley, leave the people concordat in place. Leave the denominational schools to conduct their business. It is only a fascist government. You're a dictator, but you're also a fascist government that you want to interfere in something that is working. You know the expression, if it ain't broken, why fix it? Why you want to interfere in the runnings of the Catholic schools, the Anglican schools, the Presbyterian schools, all the other schools, the Mahasabha, the Astra schools? Why? And so I see the court has granted leave to the Presbyterian School Board, Presbyterian Church, to challenge the interference by this government, unlawful interference with the Concordat and the running of those schools. Shame on them. It's a disgrace. Shame on them. As Gary told you, they want to control everything. They want to control the religion that you have, that you carry your school children to the Catholic school, Presbyterian, whichever school. That is your right. There's freedom of religion in this country. And these schools, the denominational schools, have served Trinidad and Tobago very, very well. Very well. Very well. So I come back to local government reform. They have not one achievement. Agreed? Do they have any achievements after 8 years? Not one. And then they have no plans to put forward on the local government platform. Nothing. So what they do, they come and cry, Gary. They cry, what they say, some blue tongue or something. You know, when I was growing up, we used to have something called a blue bottle. I don't know if you're all too young to remember that, but it's put blue bottle and blue soap and so on. Blue is a great, great, great color. To ward away the evil eye. And yellow is also a great color for the sunlight that arises every day. So when we join the blue and the yellow, we have, as I say, a united force against Rowley and his dictatorship. So I'm returning to this local government gimmick, a PR stunt that they're crying about each day in their meetings on their platforms. It is fake local government reform. The majority of our population know that the PNM local government reform is fake. The majority of the population is laughing at anyone who actually believes the PNM fake reform joke. That's all they can come with. Just like the roadmap. You all remember something called the roadmap to recovery? Gimmick. Yeah, drop in a pothole. Or the road was too full of potholes. That road, thank you, Saram, dropped down in the pothole. Do you remember crime as a public health crisis gimmick? What became of that? Do you remember their promise for island-wide broadband, another gimmick? Do you remember the dragon gas gimmick? Do you remember the Toko port gimmick? Do you remember the La Brea dry dock gimmick? Do you remember the plyboard factory gimmick? Do you remember the sandals gimmick? Do you remember the Petrotrin gimmick? The man lied and lied. He said, the government is not closing down Petrotrin. And if you were closing your fridge door and you didn't hear me, I will repeat, the government is not closing down Petrotrin. And lo and behold, all gone. Shut down the whole of Petrotrin. And that is why they're scrambling. What you call these guys? They sprang out like a spranger. Scrambling to take money from you through property tax. Take money from inheritance tax. They're going to raise your electricity rates after the election. They're going to raise your water rates after the election. It is there in the Moody's report. They're boasting about that is what the plan is. So they're spranging for money. They're looking for money. Because why? You closed down the one great revenue earner we had, which was Petrotrin. You killed the goose that laid the golden egg. But you created no other ways to create further revenue, to bring in money, to create jobs. Food prices gone, fuel, everything is gone. And now they're spranging, if that's the correct word, Arnold, spranging, looking for your money out of your pocket with all these taxes. I want you to, piper, that's the word. Thank you. That's the word, like pipers. Looking for money everywhere, like pipers. Everywhere. And so where are all these things they promise? Petrotrin Refinery was supposed to go to whom? SWWTU. On the verge of an election, they fooled everybody. They're giving it to the union. And as we're in a union hall here today, I ask the unions to stand firm, stand your ground against this wicked, evil government. Wicked, evil government. So what do I say? This is a gimmick government. How can the UNC support fake reform? How can the NTA support a dictator? The leader of this government is a dictator. Remember this dictator? He didn't call elections, guys. You all remember? We had to take him kicking and screaming to the Privy Council before he had to concede and call the election. He was postponing this election until the end of this year so they could continue in their nefarious ways. So he didn't call the election. We went to court and forced him to call this election. And I want to tell you tonight, Mr. Rowley, you're boasting on the platform that the Integrity Commission has cleared you when this whole fiasco at Inez Gate in Tobago. Sir, that matter has not ended. It has not ended. We shall haul you before the courts. And he always complained about these old Englishmen in the Privy Council. We'll take it right up to the Privy Council to show that you were wrong in that matter. Gary reminded me tonight about the South people, 150 people. Rowley talks about us using the courts. Gavin, you're a lawyer. You know the Privy Council is our final court, but he's complaining. Every time we go up to the Privy, he says, going by them old Englishmen. When was his government who brought down those old retired Scotland Yard officers to pay them the millions that Gary reminded us about? So I'll just take a couple of minutes left to me to show you how poorly construed this fake local government reform is. It is clear they did not even plan their talking points properly. I cannot believe there is big men and women in this government came up with this fake local government reform. And let's understand it. What does it say? First of all, they're on their platforms promising security and funding when you pay increased property tax. Can I ask you a question? Where in the world does a party ask you, please vote for me, and you know what I'll give you? Property tax. I'll take your taxes. Where in the world? Vote for me, and you know what, fellas? Pay more property tax. Pay inheritance tax. You're taxing dead people too, who work so hard their whole lives. So we come to funding. They're talking about that they'll keep the taxes. Don't get fooled. Don't get chained up again with your lies. The Consolidated Fund will collect the property tax. It will not be kept by the Digomartin Borough Corporation or the Port of Spain or the Samala, any of the corporations. The monies will not be kept there. And then what happens? It will be taken to be used by the PNM to give the contracts to their friends and their families and finances. It will not be used in your area. Therefore, they will be the ones. Minister Imbert will be the one to decide how much money to give each corporation. So don't get chained up, pay property tax, and they will give you better service. That is never going to happen. They have not diversified in any way to get additional revenue. Only taxes is all they're looking for. So they will implement those things after the election. But they're so bold-faced and think we are stupid. They think Trini people dotish. Vote for me and I will make you pay property taxes. When the UNC was in office and the partnership was in office, there was a period of economic expansion, massive reduction in violent crime with the help of Gary Griffith to bring it down to the lowest in 30 years. The lowest in 30 years. The PNM position was they would not continue all these plans that were put in place by the partnership and Gary Griffith. And when he was commissioner, he reignited some of those. And he got the crime down. Look, let's give Jack, all right, in this case, let's give Gary his jacket. Let us give him his jacket. Let us give him his jacket. We give Jack his jacket on another night. Next week we have a meeting with him and Gary. So that's one thing. You saw Gary stand up here tonight? You'll say yes. You saw him speaking here tonight? That man didn't read one piece of paper. Everything was in his head. Everything was embedded in his brain. And so together we will work to reduce the crime. We will use the local government to bring down the crime, to bring down other areas. And we have shared some plans with you already, which we'll continue to share as to how we can achieve that. The second gimmick or lie from Rowley and his team, they said, okay, corporations, you will get executive authority similar to the THA model. You hear lie? That too is lie. That is lie. That is totally false. The THA is embodied in our Constitution. But unlike the THA and Parliament, there is no constitutional protection for local government. It's an ordinary act of Parliament. That is why they could have come to Parliament with their majority to put the date of elections whenever they feel. You remember Mr. Manning? 3 times that man came to Parliament. That's PNM playbook. 3 times to do what? Postpone local government elections. But Rowley tried. But Rowley don't have bright lawyers like we have in the NTA and the UNC. We don't have them. Today I offer them, I say, Prime Minister, your lawyers, like they don't read the law, 1. And 2, when they read it, they still don't understand it. So you know what? I will lend you the little boy from Sawa. That's how Rowley called Saddam, the little boy from Sawa. I say we'll lend you a little boy from Sawa who is brighter than any of your lawyers sitting on that side. I am so busy trying to lend him Saddam. You know what Saddam say? Boss, I'm not going. I'm not going there at all. So, coming back to his giving executive authority, again, gimmicks, lies, and painting something that they will promise. But guess what? PNM promises never materialize. PNM promises never ever materialize. And moving along, they talk about security and funding. They're saying, vote for them, fake local government reform, we'll give you security and funding and so on. Will never happen. Executive authority, never happen. And they move along. They say they're going to give you, Diego Martin Corporation, Port of Spain, Samuel Laventy, and all the others, new responsibilities for school repairs, social services, and sporting programs. Look, right now, local government cannot repair potholes. They can't fix landslips. They can't clear box drains because of the discrimination in the expenditure that is given for recurrent items, such as just a basic phone bill, rent, fuel, paper. They starve the corporations. They cannot increase responsibility for school repairs, social services, sporting programs. What they have to do is increase the allocations to the corporations. So they wanted to take your taxes without procurement oversight. To talk about local contractors to get work. You hear lie, more lie, more lie. Under the Procurement Act, the contractors have to register with the Office of Procurement Regulation. So unless they amend that to say in the districts for the corporations, local government people, corporations should get allocations, it will never be done. So they don't even understand, as I said, the laws of our country. They talk about more effective municipal police. You hear lie again? You hear lie? That too is a lie. Effectiveness for municipal police is through human resources. They have promised police, municipal police to the corporations over the past 8 years. How many did they actually give to the corporations? In one, they gave 20 in 8 years. Others have none. In other places, they ask for buildings for these officers. Nothing. They talk about development control, another lie. They have provided no particulars. They have no idea. Just a talking point, just like that roadmap to recovery. They say when you vote for them, their fake local government reform, you will have infrastructure works. How? When? After 8 years, they cannot even finish the Point Fortin Highway. The Tokomanzana Highway is a mud track now, and so many of the roads totally in disrepair. What about flooding? You remember, sorry fellas, in Port of Spain? Gone are the days when Port of Spain used to laugh at the south and central, like Heinz talking about we like some something in a murky lagoon and blah, 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 race baiting, whistleblowing. Now all over Trinidad is flood. If it drizzles, it's flood. And you know what somebody tell me? Once the rain set up, the flooding starts. Cannot even deal with that. They talk about involvement of civil society. What civil society? No particulars. They are total, blatant liars when it comes to their local government reform. They talk about disaster management. They have destroyed the disaster management units in the corporations. No equipment for fire rescue. When do you see the ODPM? Look today, it is our UNC councillors you see on the ground when there's a natural disaster. And come after the 14th, it will be the UNC councillors, NTA councillors out in natural disasters. And let us commend the hunters, search and rescue teams. They have been more helpful. These hunters, let's congratulate them. And then they talk about regional development. Since 2014, we passed laws. Remember Gavin and Gary? We passed laws involving local government to be involved in planning and development under a new system, Planning and Facilitation of Development Act. We proclaimed that law in 2015. 8 years later, they sat on it and we proclaimed parts of it. They have not moved for full proclamation. They don't have one development after $500 billion. Anil has a nice way to say it. 500, what is it, Anil? Billion dollars they have spent in these 8 years. So as I close, we will share with you, and I invite you tonight to join us on Monday, NTA, UNC, at the Center of Excellence, where we will present our Tunapuna candidates jointly at that meeting. I close. I love you too. I love all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's a local government gimmick that I'm speaking about. And I close by telling you, let us look at our country as a company. Many of you are businessmen. Let us look at that. You have put the dictator as a CEO of this company in 2015. After 8 years, let's do a check, a reality check on this CEO. After 8 years, the monetary value of the company is 20% smaller in size. The company revenues have declined. The staff has been cut. The company debt has skyrocketed. The company is having difficulty in accessing loans. The company has to cut employees' benefits. The shareholders of the company receive no earnings. The CEO and the company fail to deliver any promised projects. Would you keep this dictator and this CEO in office? Will you keep them in office? So substitute the company for Trinidad and Tobago and see the inability of government to give citizens more goods, services, high standard of living, because the dictator has failed as a CEO. He has failed at doing his job. And now you who actually do your jobs and you who invested in our country are being punished. A proper CEO and leader must grow the company, grow the economy, so to increase income for shareholders, our citizens, to get goods and services. Conversely, this government cannot do their own jobs. But what do? They turn around and blame everybody else. Everybody else. So I want to share with you Rowley's propaganda, the ultimate disinformation playbook. Every time, this is a playbook. And if you know and you're warned, you will not get carried away by their lies and disinformation. So here we are, playbook, Rowley's disinformation playbook. First, 1, blame the UNC. Blame Gary Griffith too. 2, item 2 in this playbook. Blame Kamala. Blame Gary. Item 3, Blame the people. Blame the people. 4, cry race. Cry race. But nobody getting chained up with that again, because we in the NTA and in the UNC, we have space for every creed and every race. I say, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're blue, whether you're green, whether you're yellow or blue, there's space for everyone in the NTA and in the UNC. And item 6, repeat over and over and over and over again. So that's the playbook. The playbook, that's the PNM playbook. And once you play it, once you've seen it once, you've seen it every single time. Every time. I ask of you here tonight, all of you have come out in your numbers, put your hands together for this great, massive meeting this evening. I thank everyone. And I tell you this, you will never walk alone. The NTA and the UNC will walk with each and every one of you. We will join together to unite our country, to rebuild and restore Trinidad and Tobago. Let's work to make Trinidad and Tobago great again. Let's work together and let's make this happen. So on August 14th, all of you complaining every day wherever you are, things bad, you know what? Stop toting and start voting. Stop toting, start voting. August 14th, put your X next to the NTA symbol and next to the rising sun of the UNC. May God continue to bless you. And may I ask all candidates and Gary and Garvin, please join us, other MPs and Senate, please join us. So here, what's the cry, what's the slogan on the 14th? Stop toting and start voting. Don't tote, just vote. Thank you and God bless.
It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. From now we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So now we vote. This is the time to secure the NT. Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. You know, it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA. Let it go blue. We vote in NTA. Go blue. NTA is the way. Go blue. Gary Griffith got the plan. Go blue. So let us save our nation. No. NT, NT. We vote in NTA. Voting, voting. We vote in NTA. Voting, voting. We vote in NTA. Voting, we voting. We vote in NTA. August 14th, vote for UNC. Criminals everywhere. Robbery, shooting, murder, spree, and criminals have no fear. When Gary was on top, watch all the crime rate drop. Uploading like a clown, gonna try to taste me appointment down. Oh Lord, Gary Griffith wanna serve. Give the country what they deserve. You know he was Skylock, he the PNM straight out of the bar. We vote in NTA. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. Let me tell you, August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. From now we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So now we vote. This is the time to secure the NTA. Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. So we have to vote. This is the time to secure the NTA. Hey! You see the crime and violence, we can't take it no more. And the home invasion of the people insecure. To secure the NTA, when it's the way to go. So on election day, what to do? Vote for you. For your family security. Vote for you. For your community security. Vote for you. Just to save your economy. Vote for you. Vote to secure the NTA. August 14th, vote for UNC. You know it's your family. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. NTA. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So now we vote. This is the time to secure That's the way to secure your family. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So now we vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote.
Make sure the children safe in the community.
So we have to vote.
This is the time to secure TNT. Hey.
You see the crime and violence, we can't take it no more. And the home invasion of the people insecure.
Security, you know.
To secure TNT, UNC is the way to go. NTA. So on election day, put your flag in the air.
For your family security, vote for you. For your community security, vote for you. Just to save your economy, vote for you. Vote to secure TNT.
UNC.
August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Come here, we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. Come out and vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children stay in the community. So we have to vote.
UNC. NTA. Hey, 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 hey.
The crime and violence, we can't take it no more. Home invasion of the people insecure.
You see the crime and violence,
What to do? Vote for you. Vote for you.
Every creed and class, nothing pass. Like a repetitive, all the love inside away. Uptown and ghetto, feeling the tempo. So current guy so, it's party they like so.